Hi everyone, welcome back to the Excel Cast. And Sebastian, I actually forgot to tell you this, but this is starting off season 2 of the Excel Cast. You're gonna be the first episode. But
Amazing.
yeah, I've had Sebastian on here before, and welcome back, man.
Yeah, thank you very much again for the invitation. Well, actually, it was more like a recommendation because I actually messaged you and thought about a couple of ideas and topics that I wanted to share with you again, and I had to come back to this.
Yeah, absolutely. So the one that we were talking about just before this and earlier today, how social media has played a huge role in you becoming an online trainer, specifically because you do a lot of online work. How have you leveraged the social media to grow your client base and just network in general?
Well, social media, it's a very interesting topic. Honestly, I think very people have it wrong. I think a lot of people use it on the wrong way. They just want to use it for the fun of it. But if you actually learn how to use it properly, you can leverage a lot of stuff. You can get a lot of stuff from it. It's one of the best tools, in my opinion, the best tool nowadays to network, to grow your business, and to pretty much grow you professionally and personally too. But I'd say it can be also a little bit scary sometimes because it all depends on the content that you're also watching. So you also
Yeah.
gotta be careful and be honest with yourself. Like, hey, do I want to watch stuff that is gonna be helping me professionally and personally, or I'm gonna watch stuff that it's just more like entertainment? Is gonna I'm just gonna waste my time in it. So, I mean, the very first thing would be when I changed my perspective of social media. I used to be a very introvert. I didn't want to show anything about me in social media. Had maybe just Instagram. That was the only account that I had, but I was just watching stuff, and I was never the one that posting stuff and sharing my life. Once I switched my perspective about social media, that was actually around the time when I started my first business. That was the moment that everything changed. And nowadays, well, yeah, I have social media accounts pretty much on every media, and we're still learning about new medias and new technologies and just improving and adapting.
Yeah, man. I actually struggled with that for a while. I was a big person who I would have social media for a little bit and then I would get off social media, do a social media detox. With this though, it's kind of hard to do that because even if you're like, okay, I'm not going to watch. I mean, I know myself personally, I find myself watching here and there and I'm like, oh, like as soon as I realize it, you have to snap yourself out of that. And you're like, all right, I need to start watching that better content and not just an entertainment content, or
Right.
I need to post, or I need to go do work, or just put my phone down in general. And it's hard, like you said, to be able to
Mhm.
do that. What social media platform have you found most beneficial recently?
Recently, LinkedIn. I would say LinkedIn is my number one right now.
Okay.
I've networked with so many professionals, so some celebrities too, and then also a lot of people that are in my community that help me also grow in my business in locally. So LinkedIn is number one. Number two would be Instagram. Instagram. That's where I show a little bit more about me, not just as a fitness trainer and slash business owner, but also a little about me because, like I told you before, I'm also a CrossFit athlete. I do other things, and also I didn't tell you this before. I used to be a DJ back in the day in
Mm.
college, so I'm getting back to it too. So I'm gonna be sharing some recording some sessions on Instagram specifically because I think Instagram could be more lightheaded social media platform that you can show a little more of your life. Whereas in LinkedIn, it has to be more professional. You have to be sharing all the types of stuff. I mean, I've seen other people sharing very crazy stuff, but I think for the most part, it is more professional. Those are my main two, honestly. TikTok, I used to do it or use it for business just to get more content ideas, but in my opinion, that's a very scary platform because you get very addicted. So I had to delete it. Now my social media manager manages that and checks the TikTok to get ideas. I don't do it anymore because I would waste a lot of time.
Okay, so you've even gotten to the point where you're able to delegate your social media to someone specifically.
Right.
So what made you make that change?
Well, it's just social media in itself management, at least for a business. It just takes a lot of time. It's just pretty much like another business, in my opinion,
Yeah.
because you have to be from the idea, goal, and then also to the creation of a social media marketing plan, and then also execute it. And then that takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, and a lot of research. And nowadays, I don't have a lot of time to take care of all the social media accounts. I want to move into focusing on the coaching side of the business and also growing side of the business with partnerships, with new programs, developing the product, things like that. Whereas I can now delegate the social media part into someone else that maybe is more skilled than I am too. You gotta also be smart with that. You gotta be honest with yourself and be like, okay, reflect what are areas that I'm very good at, what are not, and then leave the other stuff for someone else so you can focus on this stuff that you're actually good at.
Yeah, that's a big thing. Understanding the people around you and their ability to help you in a certain aspect, not even just with business, but with life in general.
Right.
If you have someone who you know is an expert, I'm sure your friends, if they're like, hey, I don't know how to do this exercise, I'm going to call Sebastian. I'm not going to really call anyone else. I know that he knows what he's doing. So
Right.
yeah, being able to recognize that is huge. And I think a lot of people, we get caught up in pride sometimes, and we get sidetracked where no, I can do everything myself. You can do everything yourself,
Yeah.
but what you're doing, your ability to do it, right, or I can do it, yeah, but you should ask someone else,
Right.
right? Like that can be your I can do it, right? You have the resources, you have the network, you've made that connection, you're able to achieve that goal. It just may require you to reach out to someone.
Right. Absolutely. I really actually, you reminded me of something very interesting. When I actually began the fitness company, I was pretty much doing everything. Well, also with my business partner, but he was doing a different area of the business. But I was pretty much doing like 80-70% of the whole like business, including the social media. And I was like, you know what? I think I can do everything. You're young, you have the energy, you feel like you know a lot, but sooner or later, I mean, life and entrepreneurship is going to humble you a lot, and it taught me how to like delegate and be honest with myself. And yeah, I mean, I was trying to do everything at the same time, and there was a moment that I was just pretty much delivering very awful work and results. And that's not the type of person that I am. That's not the type of professional that I am and that I strive to be. So that was the moment that I had to be honest with myself and just talk to my business partners and be like, okay, we have to split this up evenly so we can be efficient and provide the best product we can have, right?
Yeah. Because there's certain life events and certain things that happen in life where you could be like, nope, that doesn't take priority over my business. But then it gets to a point where if you have that one event that takes 4 or 5 hours out of your day, and then you have another event that takes 3 hours out of your day, and before you know it, you're backpiled on everything that you have to do. And it can get very stressful because if I can go 100%, I can get 100% done, right? But when you have those things you can't avoid, it starts cutting down at that
Right.
time, and you need to be able to space yourself out. I mean, I had to make the decision that this season I'm only going to do one podcast a week. I'm only going to post once a week. And it's hard because, you preach consistency, or I preach consistency. I preach, working hard as you can, but I've been humbled enough to know that, dude, you were doing twice a week. You had the master's program. You were working out. Like it got to a point where it was a lot for me to be able to juggle all that. So, that was a big thing. I haven't gotten to the point yet where I can hire a social media manager because I haven't found a way to make money off of this yet. Well, they did offer me ads, podcast ads, but I don't want to be putting podcast ads in here yet. I don't think
Right.
it's really worth it at this point to be doing that. But
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
I believe social media comes down to planning and structuring, honestly, and following that schedule. I'm sure you do it, but same with the podcast. And you were saying that you were there's gonna be a point that you're not even gonna enjoy what you're actually doing, and you're
yeah,
not gonna provide the best value you can offer to your audience, to your customers, and to even your family and yourself. So that was a great thing that you did there. That you just decided, you know what, once a week is good for now. Reflect and maybe plan out. Maybe next in a couple of months you can actually go back to twice a week. But I mean, because anything can happen, right? You may
yeah,
finish, you may get another job, you may finish the masters, whatever it is. You may have a little more time now, so you can now actually do more.
yeah.
But that was great for you. That's big props for you for being honest for yourself, to be honest.
Yeah, I actually just graduated with my master's in
Awesome.
December 16th. Yeah, I'm moving down to Florida this weekend too. I don't even know if I told you that at all. So that's going to be a huge move for me. Uh, this podcast specifically, I'll be posting probably next week. I'll start the season, but yeah, dude, moving down to Florida, just going to restart life and just making a big change, and I'm excited for it.
Sounds like 2024 is like a complete new change, a complete new you, right? Is that
Yeah,
correct?
yeah,
Awesome.
absolutely. See what I can make with a different set of cards, different hand. See what I can do with it. Probably going to be working for the SBDC still, Small Business Development Center down there, just as a starting job. But looking to see where it takes me when I get down there.
Sure, sure, absolutely. And I mean,
Yeah,
I wish you the best. Honestly, Florida is right now. I mean, a lot of my friends and family also they're moving to Florida too, and I'm actually
yeah,
considering moving to Florida too because I'm having more customers and clients in the Florida area, specifically in Fort Lauderdale and Miami. So
yeah.
I may consider moving there in a couple years too, and perhaps maybe putting the headquarters of the fitness company there. So Florida is a great place too. I don't blame you.
Yeah, I mean, and obviously for your business too, in Florida, people are going to have their shirts off a lot more, and people are going to want to look better
Right.
than people are going to want to look up here. Just from a business standpoint, the demand for a personal trainer down there is probably higher than the demand for a personal trainer up here.
Absolutely. Well, it just depends on the market or the sub market. Uh, for instance, like New York, my biggest market is New York, Maryland, or specifically the Washington area, and then also on PA, which is Philly. So that's my biggest area right now. But now I'm moving into Florida too. So it really depends on the sub market because there are areas that are pretty good for me. But you're right. I mean, people. It depends on the weather too. I mean, people like if it's good outside, they're gonna actually go work out. They feel more motivated and better about themselves rather than over here in the Northeast. We got the snow right now, and it's pretty cold, and we have a couple maybe snowstorms coming up. So actually, yeah, that's a pretty valid point for some people to not actually have the motivation to go work out.
I was actually listening to an Andrew Huberman podcast about this. Do you listen to him at all?
I know the name. I've seen it, but I haven't really seen any of his content.
Yeah, he was talking a little bit about how whenever people go outside and they actually get that 20 to 30 minutes of sun 3 times a week, it improves their testosterone in males, their estrogen if they're females. Something with the photons from the sun getting into
Right.
your eyes, it helps with your cortisol levels. And I think if you exercise in the morning, I don't know if he specifically said outside, but it lowers your adrenaline. Am I saying
Okay.
that right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, what is your experience with that? Do you have any thoughts on that specific topic?
Well, that's a topic that I'm not really aware of. I haven't really done a lot of research, so I'm not gonna say something that I'm not very, um,
It's
you
fair.
know, educated on. I would say my basic understanding is that yeah, everyone needs the sun at least a couple hours a week of pure sun, just not just for that reason, but also for the vitamin D production because it's a bigger player in our system, and also I believe that it also helps you. I've read that it helps you with your mental health stability too.
Okay. Have you competed in anything recently, or do you look on planning to compete in anything recently?
I
Or
did a small good question. I did a small competition in November, yeah,
okay.
before going to winter break, and that was just more like a preparation. I got third. That was an online competition. I don't like third. I won first always, but it's part of the process. You got to learn, and there's that gave me a lot of like value too because now I know what word I need to focus on in the next few months. Now I'm preparing for the next competition. Is going to be also an online competition, but I'm sure you heard about this one. It's called the Open. That's from the CrossFit Games. That's actually the first phase or the first part of going to the actual CrossFit Games.
Okay.
However, I'm not planning on going to the games yet. That'll be sometime in 2026. That's my year that I'm going to go professional, but still preparation. We go do this one, and later in the year, I'm going to be doing two big, more like semi-professional competitions. I want to do one in the States, potentially in Washington D.C. or in Philly, and then I want to do one in overseas, maybe Spain or Mexico. So I gotta see which one would be best for me. So
Oh,
yeah, definitely I have plans to compete.
that's awesome. So you're just gonna see where you're at with like the prelims for the Open. That's your
Yes,
goal.
yes. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm probably comparing myself with the other guys that are in my category, and see where I need to focus on. Obviously, the main thing would be strength and size. That's just something that it takes quite a long time to develop. After that, it's just experience, to be honest, and having the experience in the actual competition and learning how to control your mind. I mean, I'm pretty confident whenever it's time for competition. I don't really feel nervous or anything. It's just like mind changes and it's just all in the competition. But I think that physically, there's a lot of things that I need to work on.
Yeah, I think that has a lot to do with muscle memory too. Being able to, if you've done
Absolutely.
this lift multiple times, your mind kind of takes that subconscious approach where it's like, we've lifted this before, we're good, we got it, and
Right.
it's like confidence, right? Like because you know you can
Absolutely.
do that lift, yeah, and
Yeah, that you reminded me of Alex Ramos's. I think it was one of his videos or podcasts. I can't remember, but he said exactly that. Like repetition gave him the confidence needed to succeed in his journey too. So I completely agree with him. The more you do something, the better you get, and the better you actually be able to do things. Is you're gonna be able to compete and win more stuff or make more money, or you're actually gonna have actually see the physical wins and achievements, and that's where it's going to give you the confidence. The repetition is just going to preparing you to achieve those goals.
yeah, absolutely. I've watched a lot of Alex Hormozy recently. I like his approach to everything. I like the approach to his $100 million leads book.
Right.
Yeah, $100 million leads. How he used the method in the book to sell the book. I don't know if you know that, but I
Yeah.
found that approach to be really clever because he not only said, "Hey, this is what you do," but he also ended up doing it while he was telling people what to do.
Right.
So,
Well, let me tell you this. This is funny because Alex Formosi, I found him way before he was becoming, now famous on TikTok and social media, where he was with Gym Launch, one of his first businesses,
okay,
and he had a YouTube channel, sort of very small YouTube channel. He was giving his sales tips. He started with sales tips actually, and other like business tips, but he like you right now you know him with this new book, the 100 million leads, and the other book, The Offers. But he did millions and millions of repetitions of the same thing, which is sales, business, new ideas, new businesses. Like he's a master of repetition. That's my opinion on him because he did it a lot, and that's what he's able to teach everyone else in simple terms. Pretty much that those two books that he has right now is just a guide. It's not a book. It's a handbook for entrepreneurs, and it's actually a good book. I'm glad you're actually reading that.
yeah. Well, I haven't read it yet. I do want to get it. I read.
You
Well, I
should.
watched. Yeah, watched some videos about it. Have you read any books that have helped you prepare for what you're doing right now?
A ton. Yeah, I've done it. I mean, not as much as maybe my advisors or the people that I follow, because a lot of people read a lot. It's my view on reading is half and half. Is like I believe, yeah, reading is fine, but you have to apply and take action. So
Oh yeah.
it's like what I usually do is that when I read something, I read a chapter or two, and then I actually go apply whatever they were saying on the book. Because if I try to read the whole book, I'm gonna forget about the first chapter or the second chapter. Most times, you're gonna forget about maybe 90% of the content of the book. So I believe that don't waste your time on reading hundreds of books for the year as a goal. Make sure you actually read it and apply whatever they're mentioning and suggesting. And some of the books that I found very beneficial and important in my career so far is those two books from Alex. It's the 100 million offers and $100 million leads. I would suggest you read the offers first because that's just part one, and then you go to leads. Then
Okay.
number two is choose the right enemies from Patrick Bet-David. He's actually a pretty well known guy right now on YouTube. He's
Oh
a
yeah.
multi-million-dollar one. He's owner of Valuetainment, the PPT podcast, and also in a way, he's one of my mentors. I'm part of his advisory program too. I've spoken to him a couple times. He's the author of that book, so I definitely recommend that one. And the other one that came to mind is, obviously, that was my first book about entrepreneurship and money. It's from Robert Kiyosaki. I gotta remember the name.
Rich Dad
Rich
Poor
Dad Poor
Dad.
Dad. There you go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So those four so far have been the major books of that really changed the course of my entrepreneurship journey. There's definitely other books, but those four would be my top four so far.
Okay. Yeah, I read Think and Grow Rich, 12
Think and
week
Grow Rich.
year.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I got it over there too.
yeah. It's a big one. I haven't read any of the books that you mentioned though, so I'll definitely have to look them up. I typically don't like to buy a book until I've finished one that I've
Right.
purchased to read, because I used to do that a lot. I used to like buy books like, oh, this is a cool idea or concept to have on my bookshelf, but then I never would read them because I would never, I don't know, never open up the book and actually read it. But I've read Think and Grow Rich front to cover, and I'm halfway through 12-week year right now. And 12-week years, it's funny because like I read 12-week year and it's about how to accomplish something in a short span of time, and I actually stopped reading the book. I don't know why. I need to get back to it. I've taken a lot of like a couple weeks, not off necessarily. I'm still going to the gym every day, still working every day, but I think a creative break, I guess you could say, like a progress break, and I need to get back to it because I I just need to get back to it. I need to be better. I need to be more focused. And, I had some things shaken up. I moved out of
Right.
my apartment, stuff like that. They're all excuses, to be honest with you. I need to recognize that. But,
I was gonna tell you that, Joe.
yeah.
To be
Yeah.
But that actually that gives me goes back to social media where we started the podcast. Is I believe the social media really messed up our focus ability, because now we can't really focus on many things, or at least on one thing at a time, for a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm also a result of that. I blame myself too, because sometimes I'm working on something, I'll be focused for maybe 20 minutes, and then I'm already, my mind is thinking about other stuff, and I get distracted. So I believe it's also part of that. Lack of the focus will be also part of social media, and the addiction that we all have, because we all have that addiction nowadays. Is that we're all addicted to phones and social media, and yeah, I mean, I know. I mean, like you said, it's just excuses. But you gotta get back to it. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. And that's honestly what this episode specifically is meant for. You're going to be the first episode in the new season. And when you hit me up, I started lining up other people after you to, get back into it because I needed that wake up call. So I really appreciate you hitting me up and asking me if
no
we could do
problem.
this, because it was, uh, it was big for me, because now I was like, all right, someone asked you to do a podcast. Now you kind of like, I had to face it. I had to face the fact that I haven't done any in a while. And yeah, it was,
I mean, you were making a lot of excuses then, because I mean, you were saying that you want to be consistent, and you
yeah,
stopped for a while, and then
I did.
something had to happen. We got lucky that I was able to reach out to you again. I had many ideas and topics that I want to talk to you, and here we are, right? Hopefully, I helped in a way to get you back on track
Oh
for
yeah,
the podcast.
yeah, absolutely. I have 3 sessions lined up just this week. You being one of them, and then I have 2 other ones. So
Right.
I really appreciate that. What
Yeah.
has been have you caught yourself at all like going to work on your social media and then you get caught in that trap of like scrolling
Yes.
through? Yeah.
All the time, and I just have to be honest with myself all the time, and I gotta learn, because I end up wasting time and a lot of concentration. But yeah, sometimes for instance, I may go through LinkedIn and I see a very interesting topic, and then I go into the actual author, and then I go into his other post, and I go into another author or another person, and then I respond to comments. It's just like that, like that. It just goes, and then I check the clock, and it's just like 30 minutes later. Oh, now we spend 30 minutes. But I mean, it really depends on the situation, because in this case, it was good, because it was actually good for the business, good for me professionally. But there are instances that maybe on Instagram that I'm looking at, maybe an athlete or something that is not going to be helping me out, and I just continue and spending time. So I'm sure it happens to you, right?
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
and then it's just bad because I hate leaving in having that feeling of regret
Yeah,
of knowing that I should have just done something else, not this. Now I have to recover from that. It's just something that I hate feeling. So I'm trying to work on this. It's not
yeah.
easy. Like I told you, we're all addicted to this social media thing and phones. So, and I was gonna ask you too. Like, have you found and thought about a system that could work for us? Like being able to concentrate and focus on one thing at a time.
For like just people in general.
Yeah, yeah, or for yourself in your podcast or your business or in whatever you're doing.
For myself, I actually heard a quote from Jordan Peterson, and it's just a quote that I want to carry with me whenever I go to do something like this or I'm working on anything like this. It's discipline weighs ounces, regret weighs tons. So even though discipline may hurt in the moment, putting your phone down may hurt in the moment, you're not going to an hour and a half later go, wow, I could have made breakfast. I could have went for a walk outside. I could have all these could haves that you could have done but didn't because you sat on your phone for an hour and a half. And that weighs a lot more than just putting your phone down for a second and going into that temporary discomfort. And that's something that I really want to keep in my mind. Also, my sister gave me one. She said, whenever you think about doing something positively, right, like putting your phone down or taking the trash out or anything that you want to do, she says, stop yourself for a second, count down from three. She got this from Mel Robbins, actually. Count down from three and then go do it. Because if you count down from three, your mind is actively working because you're not going 1, 2, 3, you're going 3, 2, 1. So you're counting backwards and your mind's not used to counting backwards, even though
Right.
3, 2, 1 is a typical way for people to 3, 2, 1 go, but it's still your mind's actively doing that. You're not sub-actively doing that just by saying 1, 2, 3 and counting.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That's a good way to think about it. I mean, it could work for you.
yeah.
It really reminds me of something too. Is when I'm actually spending and wasting time sometimes on social media that is not really helping me. There's a moment between that time, like in the middle of time when I start social media and when I finish using the phone or on social media, that I think about: do you actually want to reach this goal? That's the first question that I
Mm,
always get. Do
yeah.
you actually want this? Do you actually want to be the best athlete you want to be? Do you actually want to be multi-million-dollar fitness company? Do you actually want to be this is it? I start asking myself this. Well, you know what? Yes, I want to be that. And then I just put my phone down and start working. So I just, it reminded me of that actually. It's the first time that I actually think about it because for me, it's just natural. But now
Yeah.
that you were explaining this from Mel Robbins, her technique, and the other quote from who was it? Peterson, right?
Yeah.
Mr. Peterson,
Yeah.
right? Dr. Peterson. It really reminds me of this system. It was interesting too. Now that I think about it, yeah, it really happens a few times. But every time that I think about it, I completely just like shut off the phone and start working. So in my opinion, it's just beneficial.
Yeah. And it's hard with social media, right? Because it's a very fine line. Like, at what point are you posting and looking at comments and replying to people to increase that engagement? And at what point are you just kind of waiting for someone to like or comment and you're just kind of scrolling? And
Yeah,
then, you find yourself like, there's times where I go on my phone to actually just like look at something. Like, I'm specifically like, I need to just, for example, set an alarm. And I find myself on social media and I'm like, wait, what was I even
yeah.
supposed to do? And
It's
yeah, it's just captivating like that. And it's, I mean, I guess captivating carries a positive connotation and it's not really a positive thing, but it's scary, as you said earlier. It's scary because there's times where I'll find myself and I'm not even, don't even know what I was doing. And I'm actually just on Instagram. And yeah. Do
yeah.
you have any specific, I'm sorry, what were you saying?
No. I'm go for it. I was just agreeing with you.
No, yeah. Do you have like any specific goals that you have daily when it comes to your engagement on social media?
On social media,
Yeah.
good question. So the goal right now on social media for me and in the business is to grow audience, to grow our following. So right now we're not really focusing on being very engagement on comments or likes or who's following, who's not. We just want to make sure we build the right system for posting and scheduling, and then grow slowly the audiences with high quality content. So the goal right now is just pretty much building our audiences. We want to reach a couple thousand by the end of the year on Instagram, and then on LinkedIn a couple also thousand, and then we also going to have our new account on Pinterest. So that's just going to be another challenge too.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, definitely don't count out that personal engagement though. Once you get to a point where you're
Right.
comfortable and you're like, hey, not comfortable, but you're like, all right, we've reached enough people. Now we're going to start building a community with personal messages. Hey, hey, Pete, great job on this. This was fantastic. Stuff like that. Cause when you have that, when you build that community and you build that we with your audience, that's when they start posting your stuff. Like, oh, look at what, Sebastian's doing here. Like, oh, this was an awesome workout, Sebastian recommended. Not saying you're ignoring that completely, but don't ever, just make sure you stay on top of that whenever you
Right.
get to a point where
No,
you've
it's a
reached.
good. It really is a good point. But it really depends on where we at right now. And right now it's just growth. So and
Yeah.
following, and then obviously once we have a solid following based following of people, then we're gonna you know work on that side now on building the community, building the trust. But for now, the main issue is just to find the right system for us. So that's the
Yeah.
main goal.
Yeah, absolutely. I know me for my LinkedIn, I try to do 10 comments and 50 likes a day just so my face appears on, like, people getting likes from people and people getting comments and back and forth and stuff like that. So that's something that I'm trying to do, but I'm also trying to get a job right now. So, I'm liking the jobs I apply for. I go on their pages and I start like liking their recent posts, commenting on their recent posts, like, oh, this looks great. So whenever they see my application, they're like, oh, this guy's been liking our stuff. Just a like a repetition thing, like we were talking about earlier, just a
Yeah.
repetition of them seeing my face and my name, my face and my name, and they're like, oh, he applied, he's interested in our stuff. Let's at least give him a shot.
Right, absolutely. That'll make them actually build trust on you because they're gonna be thinking, okay, this guy is actually interested in our company, in the vision of the company. And I totally agree with you. I do the same thing on LinkedIn. I try to have like a goal of, I think right now it's like 10 likes, 10 comments, and just being very engaging with my prospects or the people that I follow, like all the fitness experts, just to make sure you actually grow your personal brand. That's also my goal,
Yeah,
because it really depends. Like the first, when you asked me first, it was just for my business.
yeah.
For my personal brand is, I actually go for the likes, go for commenting and building that personal branding community.
Okay, so you have a business page and then your personal page, and on your personal page, you do more of the engagement than the business side of
Yes.
it.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
I got you.
Because on my personal page, I'm the fitness expert or fitness coach of Profit Live, and then
Yeah.
also the business owner. Or now sooner is gonna be, we're gonna have our podcast, so I'm gonna be the host of our podcast. So it's more like a personal type of like account.
Okay. Yeah, no, I got you. That makes more sense now. It makes more sense why you're engaged on that side because you're the personal trainer, you're the face, you're the brand.
Right.
And yeah, that makes sense. And earlier we were talking about, you said that you competed online. It kind of just clicked that you said you did a whole competition online. How did that work out?
Oh,
Like,
like
how did that
just
even occur?
you just thought about that right now.
Yeah, well, it was just because we were talking about engagement and online. You're like, oh, my personal is different
Yeah.
from my business. And I was like, oh, yeah, because on the personal side, he's more of a competition and stuff like that. And then it got me to, wait, he said earlier he competed, but he said he competed online. How did that even work?
Yeah, it's a good
Yeah.
question. Yeah, I also don't know how they do it on CrossFit, but it's a real thing. It's
Yeah.
just pretty much, you check out the competitions, you see, okay, this might be good, the price is good. All right, let me register. You pay the fee, that's it.
Yeah.
And then after that, they'll give you the instructions. They'll give you standards. In CrossFit, standard means like the the rules of each movement and how it should be performed. And then after that, they just sometimes they send you the events or the workouts that you have to do, and then you have to record yourself doing the workout and then submit it or send it to the organization, and then they're going to review it, judge it, and then give you the final score. Could be your time or could be the amount of repetitions.
Okay.
So it's an interesting thing. Obviously, a lot of people think that okay, I mean, anyone can cheat and get fake weights
That's my
and
first
this and
question.
that. But
Yeah.
that's why on each event you have to record every single equipment that you're going to be using for the workout, and you have to show okay, this is the brand. In this case, is Rogue. Rogue is the brand usually that they're linked to. So
Okay.
Rogue, and then this is the barbell, the 45-pound barbell. This could be the wooden box, and you have to go through each equipment piece to assure that okay, he's probably not cheating. But obviously, there's going to be people that are going to try cheating, but
Yeah.
you can't really control everything online. But it's a very interesting feeling too, because it's just you pretty much. It's
Yeah.
just you and the camera, and that's it. No, it usually there's no one else, maybe your family or a couple friends. But it's not
Yeah.
like a big competition. You have an audience and fans and stuff. It's just you and the camera, and that's it. So it's a pretty interesting feeling.
No, yeah. That was yeah, definitely interested in how that occurred because I mean I guess that would be the only way. It's like if you audition for American Idol but you just send in a video or you do a presentation, you send in a video. But yeah, so do you feel like you're pushed more to do more weight whenever there's an audience, or do you feel like you work better when you're solo and a camera?
Question. That was a good question. Interesting question.
Yeah.
I'd say when there's people around, you want to try to and give your best and more than when you're
Yeah.
alone. Uh, so yes, when there's people around, at least no, it doesn't have to be actually on the competition. Even when I will go work out to the gym, I
Yeah.
may not go and do the classes, but at least there's people out in there. They actually kind of like see me where I'm doing on the other side of the gym. And that
Mm.
gives me like that spark that I'm like, you know what, I have to prove that I'm, good. I have that I'm capable
Yeah.
of doing this weight, and it's just like more like a psychological thing. When you're alone, sure you push yourself, but I'm telling you, when there's someone else, you always want to prove someone else how good you are. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I even found myself. I just changed gyms, right? So I went from Planet Fitness to Crunch Fitness.
Okay.
Um, I find myself lifting a lot heavier at Crunch just because the individuals that go there are used to lifting heavier weights more so than Planet Fit people that go to Planet Fitness. And it's not so much the people that go there. I don't mean it like that, but Planet Fitness, their dumbbells only go up to 75. Where like I warm up with 75s for some exercises. So like it's not like, I'm doing 25, 30 reps of 75s the whole time, and it's not
Yeah.
really productive for me, especially when I'm in the 12 to 8 rep range for most of my workouts. So I just recently went there, and I do find myself lifting heavier weights. And I actually find myself feeling stronger though, because of the different workouts that they have there. I find myself pushing myself harder just because of the access and the equipment that I have whenever I work out there.
Yeah,
So I agree.
it always comes down to the people that are around you. That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're around with winners, you're gonna be a winner. So
Yeah.
obviously, when you switch from Planet Fitness to Crunch, I mean, we just gotta be honest. There's just completely different market. Planet
Yeah.
Fitness is just more of like your regular average people. Crunch might be also some your average people, but also there's a few of the semi-pro amateur lifters that will give you that push. And I'm telling you, once I go into professionally training for competitions and the CrossFit Games, I'm
Yeah.
gonna move from my current gym to a gym that is gonna be full of the best of the best. They're gonna
Yeah.
kick my ass, yes, but just in the beginning because I know I'm gonna get them sooner or later. But that's just gonna allow me to improve and just prove myself that I'm like those guys. So obviously, it always comes down to the people that are around you.
Yeah. And it's crazy because I was introduced to this concept when I was younger. Actually, I was playing football for Bishop McDevitt. One of my coaches, he had put me in with the older guys. So I was a sophomore, and he said, "Here you go. and he put me with a bunch of senior like offensive linemen, right? So I'm 15, 16, they're 18, and he's like, no, like go bench with them, go bench press, go do all their workouts with them. And it got me to be stronger because I was like, well, I don't want them to have to take off 2 plates every time. So I'm just take 1 plate off. It's fine. I'll do 225. And then from there, I got stronger and stronger and stronger because I was forced to lift that weight because it was kind of like I didn't want to be annoying to them. I didn't want them to have to take off all the weight all the time. So being surrounded by them actually made me better. And I feel like being at Crunch made me better too. Have you ever been to a Crunch Fitness?
Yeah. I mean, I've been to a lot of gyms, so
Yeah.
obviously Crunch is one of them.
Yeah.
It's not the type of gym that I like to, but if I have to, I'll go.
Yeah. So what gym do you go to now?
So I go to CrossFit Hershey, CrossFit
Okay.
Hershey / CrossFit. What's the name again? I forget. It's in Lancaster. It just depends on the day.
Okay.
But yeah, I like CrossFit gyms because it's just more like a playground for me. I just like there's so many things and equipment that I can use. All right, let
Yeah.
me try it out and combine this into fitness, functional fitness or CrossFit training. Because whenever, I mean, nowadays most commercial gyms have that functional fitness area, but it's not the same. It's just completely different
Yeah.
atmosphere. But to me, I like CrossFit gyms because they're open. There's so many equipment. It's like a playground for me. And sometimes, in most cases, they allow me to play my own music. So I'm like, oh, this is great.
Yeah.
This is my place. This is my jungle.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. Yeah, they have a little bit of a functional area at Crunch. There's like 3 platforms, but it's also 3 squat racks, and it's also,
Yeah.
there's a lot of people that want to squat, deadlift, and do whatever. So kind of limited in that regard.
But I mean, Joe, in the end of the day, if I don't have CrossFit gym or I have this and that, we still gotta work out. So
Oh yeah.
I don't wanna sound like I'm making excuses. Of course not. I work out. Right now, I work out pretty much every day.
Yep.
So it depends on the day, but you still gotta work out. I mean, even if you don't have access to a gym, you still gotta do something at home or something.
Yeah.
Gotta stay active.
Yeah.
I gotta make that clear too.
Yeah. You have your preferences, but you always got to get the job done.
Yes,
Right?
sir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been doing the sauna a lot recently. Have you ever done the sauna, and do you think there's any benefits to it? And
Yeah,
if
definitely,
so,
definitely.
yeah.
I believe it's more like a mental thing, in my opinion. I'm sure there's all physical advantages and benefits, but
Yep.
to me, it's more like a mental thing. It really relaxes you. It really takes you away from all the thoughts, in my opinion, the thoughts that
Yeah.
you may have from like family stress, business, whatever you have in mind, and you
Yeah.
just stay there, relax, sweat it out, pretty much. And whenever you're out, you pretty much feel like a new man for the day. But I
Yeah.
like more the red light sauna. It's
Okay.
they use the red lighting,
Yeah.
and
I've
it's
heard of that. What are the
yeah,
benefits of that?
There's a little bit more benefits, but I gotta go back to reading the research. But
Okay.
there's more benefits on that one,
So how
and
do you feel then personally? Let's not go into like the scientific benefits. How do you feel once you get out of the sauna?
I feel more like having more mental clarity.
Okay.
Having more being more relaxed, and it's just like a few times of the week that I'm not really thinking about anything else. Just pretty much staying there in the moment, focus there, just relax. Because sometimes you just need that. You just don't think about anything else. You just relax. Whenever I'm in there, and then I go out after that, I feel pretty good, pretty solid mentally, and then I go back to work. So to me, it's look more like a reset activity.
Okay. Yeah, I've been using it for a lot of mental stuff. Especially like you said, like you forget about everything. Yeah, you forget about everything because all I'm doing in there is focusing on breathing. That's
Yeah.
about it. So breathing, and also it was weird. I was in there the other day. I had my headphones in, they died. But if I put a hoodie over my headphones, it like they don't die. Like they won't overheat or anything like that.
Interesting.
So I found that was weird. Yeah. So from there, I started to like not put my hoodie on completely because I was like, well, there's a benefit from that direct heat to skin contact then. Because if I'm covering it and they're fine, but when they're open, they burn out, that means that the direct heat, because you would think it's underneath, right? So it's hotter.
Yes.
but for
Oh,
some reason there was a benefit to it being directly on whatever it was on. So
yeah.
I've been actually wearing a t-shirt in there rather than a full-on hoodie. Um, but
Yeah,
yeah,
I don't really use my headphones inside a sauna. I really like to focus there. That moment that you're completely dark, no distractions, no noises, just you and the place and the hot atmosphere. It's pretty
yeah,
much it. Um, I just I don't know. It's just to me. I really use a lot of my headphones pretty much every day, all day. I like to listen to music, podcasts, and all
yeah,
this type of like content when I'm working. But I think it's just beneficial to find that time where you're completely in a place of silence and you can just focus on the moment. I
yeah,
would suggest that try it out next time, see what you think, and just let me know what was your experience with that. Just try to breathe too, because I like to also close my eyes. Usually I sit down, close my eyes, and breathe, and that's it. 15, 20 minutes, open my eyes, and I'm like, oh, all right, I'm ready to work. So
yeah,
it's a good feeling.
yeah. I've even found myself going back on to what we're talking about earlier. I was like, whenever it gets to a point where I'm like, damn, it's hot in here. I can barely breathe. Let me go on my phone because my phone will distract me from the fact that I can't really breathe right now and it's hot in here. And I found myself doing that today. But I also found out that when I do that, I don't stay in the sauna as long because my mindset shifts from how long can I go in the sauna to I just got to make it to 15 minutes. I just got to make it to 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's not how long can I go in this sauna. And I feel like that is, I'm also on a cut right now. I don't know if that has anything to do with the fact that I just want to get out of the sauna. But
Interesting that you want to distract yourself from the suffering, so sort of way like you're not able to breathe. It's very hot too.
yeah,
Interesting. That really reminds me of David Goggins,
yeah,
right? That kind of reminds me of like you gotta go through the suffering, the dark side, the dark room, and just go through it. And I would suggest you do it.
yeah,
Honestly, like I said, focus on that moment. Yeah, pretty much your only moment that you're gonna be actually focusing on the moment, on whatever you're doing, and after that, you're gonna be working on other stuff. So take a moment to do that. I suggest doing that.
yeah, absolutely. I think next time being tomorrow, because tomorrow's chest day. But next time I go in there, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try it out and just meditate and see what comes of it. But Sebastian, it was great having you on, man. You got any last words or any last ideas you want to share with anyone before we
No,
close out?
I think it'll be something for next time. But I'm very
Okay.
happy that I was able, that was the first one, that I'm gonna be the first episode of season 2, and I'm very I'm very proud of also you, because I at least somewhat influential in helping you get back to the grind, man. It's just we gotta do it. That's what we're here to help each other out. But sometimes no one's gonna be there for you, so you gotta go back to the grind by
Yeah,
yourself sometimes. But I'm glad you're
absolutely.
back to it. I'm very excited for the final result, and I would like to share this to also my audiences and the people that I have around. I think it'll be very valuable to them too. We talked about very important topics like social media and focus.
Yeah, absolutely, man. You whenever you called me, it was me having to face it, right? Because it was eating at me. It was like, you're not doing any podcasts, you're not posting anything. So when you sent me that voice message, it was like it knocking on my front door, like you have to go back to this. You have to refocus yourself on this. So I really appreciate that. And you're right. We do need that sometimes. And I know that I definitely needed it.
Yeah.
And I
Well,
feel a
think
lot better.
about final thing that I would say for you.
Yeah.
This is just for you specifically. Think about who's your competition. I mean, so I'm sure you have someone that you want to beat or be like in terms of like podcast and success.
Yeah.
Think about that person or that group,
Yeah.
and you're like, you know what? I want to be like that. I want to beat them. Think about the competition. I think that's going to give you also that drive.
It's giving me
But
drive right now.
yeah, other
I
than
feel
that,
a little bit right now.
yeah, I'm telling you,
Yeah.
sometimes your blood has to boil and be like, you know what, I can't lose, against these people. I'm sure you have something valuable and maybe better than the competition that you have to show. So that's my
Absolutely.
final thing that I would suggest for you, and I'm very happy to see you sometime next time.
Awesome, Sebastian. Do you have any Instagrams or anything you want to plug really quick?
Yeah, so my Instagram is Sebastian Aguilera. I think it's seb.ag16. That's the
Okay.
username. And on LinkedIn, it's again Sebastian Aguilera. And then that's the only main two that I use right now. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome, Sebastian. Well, thank you for coming on, and thank you everyone for watching and joining us for the start of season 2. Follow us on Instagram at excelcast_. Follow us on TikTok at excelcast. We're also on YouTube and Spotify at excelcast. And as always, stay blessed and excel.
Excelcast.